Trailing 1-0 to the Boston Bruins, the Senators prepare to face them in Game 2 Saturday afternoon at the Canadian Tire Centre at 3 p.m. Kenny, it looks like Mark Mathot will play, but my assumption is we'll have to wait till the morning to find out.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of gamesmanship and back and forth on who may be in and who may be out still, and a lot of stuff going on with the forward lines. Will there be one change, no change, two changes?
They do their thing, we do our thing. So we're not watching them, they're not watching us. I mean, I start the game, I don't like a line, so then I switch it after 5 minutes.
Judging by the lines today, it certainly looked like Tommy Wingels and Victor Stahlberg were the odd men out. Oddly enough, both were brought in because they have Stanley Cup playoff experience, and Stahlberg, of course, has a ring from 2013 with Chicago. I don't happen to believe either of those guys won't play, and I don't happen to believe there's going to be any changes whatsoever up front.
The only thing I think that might work to the Senators' advantage is if you put Ryan Dzingel in, his speed on a bottom-end line perhaps can take advantage of a beleaguered defense in the Bruins.
Yeah, because you know what? He'd be perfect with these guys. He had 5 goals in his last 32 games, so he'd really bring the element they need.
A different threat. I'm not saying it's going to happen. A different threat. At some point in the series, I think if Ottawa gets down, you're going to have to use depth. I don't know whether Chris Kelly comes in or Ryan Dzingel tomorrow, but at some point, if they're down, they're going to change things up.
And that's the last thing I wanted to discuss with you, Ken. They cannot afford to go down to Boston 2-0. They have to win here tomorrow afternoon. It's funny to say that 2 games into a series, but they've put themselves in this position.
Well, I think the toughest thing is when you get into a matchup game, there's one big line in this series. It's the Bergeron line. And when you go and you play on the road, how do you match up? You don't get the last line change. It's very difficult for the Senators to win in Boston, I think, because they won't have the right players out against that line.
Erik Karlsson's health has to be an issue here.
Yeah, and it's playoffs again. They're going to be coy with how healthy he is or not healthy. He wasn't close to himself in that first game. Maybe the extra day between games is an advantage. Another day to rest. I was a bit surprised to see him on the ice today, and maybe that's a good sign that he's getting closer to the kind of play that he can have to dominate a game.
Well, there'll be no morning skates Saturday. Coach Guy Boucher will provide some line updates at noon as best he can, and I don't think he will. But it'll be the Senators and the Bruins in Game 2 at Canadian Tire Centre. Stay tuned to Post Media's websites for all the details from today's practice and tomorrow's game. For Post Media, I'm Bruce Garrioch with Ken Warren.